What's going on? Welcome in the Matt Bernier Show, DRF TV, live.drf.com, livestream.com, the Daily Racing Forms Twitter handle, that would be at DRF Inside Post, as well as the Daily Racing Forms Facebook page. My name is Matt Bernier. You can follow me on Twitter at Bernier_Matt. This is the recap edition of the Matt Bernier Show, taking a look back at racing from this past weekend. It would have been March the 31st. Big racing at Gulfstream Park, big racing out in Dubai. We'll dive into all that and then some. If you check this thing out podcast, you've got YouTube, video.drf.com, iTunes, and SoundCloud. A number of ways for you to check this whole thing out. Most of you check it out podcast version. Thank you for doing so. Let's dive right into it right at the top. It's that time of year. We'll start with the 3-year-olds in South Florida. Then we'll shift our attention out to Dubai. We'll go over a few races, and then we'll come back to Gulfstream, wrap things up. As we always do, we'll also have a stakes montage for the things that we unfortunately couldn't get to this weekend as far as full in-depth recaps. And then we'll obviously get you into the weekend's best buyer performances, a little bit of a DRF TV schedule of events for the rest of this week, because it is a big week. 3 100-point Derby preps coming up on Saturday afternoon, and then we'll get you ready to go for some other things coming up the rest of the week. So first things first, let's dive into the Grade 1 Florida Derby. This was the field running down to Gulfstream Park, 1 1/8 on the main track. 3-year-olds, 100 points would go to the winner. You would lock up a spot in the starting gate the first Saturday in May. A field of 9 signed on. Heck, even if you run second, you're probably going to be good enough with the 40 points that would be awarded there. The post-time favorite was Todd Pletcher's Audible, winning the Holy Bull. He had been gone since that race. This was the plan all along. Give him some time, bring him back in the Florida Derby, have him cranked up, and then get ready to roll into Louisville and find out what you've got as far as new faces and fresh faces in this race. You had Catholic Boy for Jonathan Thomas, very impressive winner of the Remsen as a 2-year-old. A little bit disappointing when he came back in the Sam F. Davis. All the eggs were in this basket. He needed to win or run second in order to get in to the Kentucky Derby. You also had Strike Power and Promises Fulfilled, the 2-1 or 1-2 runners coming out of the Fountain of Youth. They figured to take money in here. They went off at 9-2 and 7-1 respectively. Unfortunately for fans of those horses or people that bet them, they were the ones that set this thing up for everyone and their brother, because the pace was incredible the way it unfolded. And this is how the entire thing shook down. Pete Aiello with the stretch run to the Florida Derby.
At the top of the stretch, Audible let loose on the outside to take the lead from Mississippi, who's back to second. Hofburg straightens up and tries to finish up with less than 1/8 of a mile to go. It's the Holy Bull winner, Audible, who's clear. Audible by 3. Hofburg can't get him. Mississippi is third. 5 Florida Derbies for Todd Pletcher. Audible, no doubt about it. He won it by 2.
Audible and Todd Pletcher get the job done. I believe it is Todd Pletcher's 5th victory in the Florida Derby. He wins, pays $5.20. Hofburg, the lightly raced horse for Bill Mott, runs second, $7.20 to place. And the number 9, Mississippi, runs third, $5 to show. $1 exact at $25.40. 50-cent trifecta comes back $77.35. And the 10-cent superfecta, if you just took the outside 4 horses and boxed them, you were good to go. The 10-cent super comes back $46.30. Audible is a 3-year-old. He is 4 of 5 lifetime. He's never been out of the money. He's earned over $882,000 in career earnings. Owned by China Horse Club, Head of Plains Partners LLC, Starlight Racing, and Windstar Farm. Trained obviously by Todd Pletcher. Bred by Oak Bluff Stables LLC. He's a New York bred. Ridden to victory by John Velasquez, and you can see the pedigree at the bottom of the page. He's by Into Mischief, out of a Gilded Time mare named Blue Devil Bell. Audible earns a 99 buyer speed figure and a 122 time form U.S. rating. For what it's worth, the way this race was run, and you look at the fractions, 21-4, 46-1. Understandably, the opening quarter and the half-mile splits were color-coded red as far as time form U.S. was concerned. Audible did a lot of things well here, and I like that he was a little bit more professional than he was in the Holy Bull. I didn't like the fact that he was early with the lead change on the far turn, popped back to his left lead at the wire. Those are things that don't necessarily get my juices flowing and don't get me excited about the long-term prospects of a horse, and particularly also about going longer distances. This time around, he was much more professional, got his final 1/8 of a mile in 12-2. I think it's very important to note the final 1/8 of a mile for the runners in this race, because there were only 2 that were sub-13. And guess what? Not only were they sub-13, they were markedly faster than sub-13. You had Audible, who came home in 12:52, and you had Hofburg, who came home in 12:69. We'll dive into Hofburg a little bit more momentarily. Audible really hasn't done a heck of a lot wrong, as we saw by that overall body of work. He's 4 of 5, and he's only missed one other time. My big concern with this horse, It's nice that he's paired up 99s, the 99 in the Holy Bull, the 99 here in the Florida Derby. This is something that I'm sure a lot of people that listen to this or hear about this, me say this, they may roll their eyes and others may take it a little bit too seriously. I found the gallop out to be very, very bizarre. You go back and watch the pan view because the head-on, they cut it relatively quickly after the wire. The pan, this horse, John Velasquez, gets him pulled up rather quickly, and his head is cocked off to the side. That's not you. I don't usually see horses gallop out like that. I'm not suggesting there's anything wrong with the horse. It just, to me, I don't know. It's not what I want to see leading into the Kentucky Derby. It's not what I want to see with a horse that still has another eighth of a mile to go. Now, again, to trying to squash that sort of fear, he did come home faster than any other horse in the entire race. So maybe it's a lot to do about nothing. Some people will overreact to that. I think some people will underreact to that. It's something that I'm filing away. Not saying I won't pick him in the Kentucky Derby. We'll find out. We've still got a lot of racing to go between now and the first Saturday in May, but it's at least something to file away in your memory. And if you haven't seen it, you can go back and watch. If you pull it up into Formulator or you use RTN or you use any of these other things to stream your videos, pull up the entirety of that stretch run and the gallop out. We didn't see it here in this replay, but it was a little bit odd, and that's all I'll say. For me, it's just something that I'm going to keep note of, but at the end of the day, this is a horse that has really done nothing wrong, and Pletcher looks about as strong as he ever has heading into Kentucky. We'll find out, because it sounds like he's going to have more runners coming up this weekend, whether it's in New York or Kentucky or both, and then he's certainly going to have more runners the following weekend in Arkansas, most notably Magnum Moon. So it's good to be Todd Pletcher right now. It's good to be John Velasquez. Good to be those connections with the 3-year-old. What else is new? It's been like that for the past 20 years. Hofburg, I liked Hofburg. I picked him in this race, and I thought he ran really well, considering this is his third lifetime start, second start of the season, and second start off of a long, long layoff. I really thought he did a lot of things good here. You saw Jose Ortiz get into him a little bit on the far turn. He started warming up. I wonder if Jose could have done it again. It looked like he was going to try to dive to the inside as they got to about the 8th pole, and he angled him back out into the clear. Wouldn't have made a difference because he lost by 3 lengths, but I like the way that he finished through the wire, and we've talked about the pedigree with this horse. He's by Tappet. He's a half to Emollient, who's a Grade 1 winner, going very long, going 1.25 miles, 1.125 miles. Distance is only going to be Hofburg's friend. Bill Mott has said if it's the right thing to do, if we think it's the right thing to do with the horse, we'll go to the Kentucky Derby. We talked about it. Mott is historically conservative. He'll run the horses where he thinks they belong, when he thinks they are ready to run there. The fact that he ran this horse in the Florida Derby off of a maiden score and a second start off of a long layoff, to me, goes to show you what he thinks of this horse. He also had a quote saying, it wouldn't have surprised him at all if this horse had won the Derby, or the Florida Derby. He clearly thinks that this horse can run. On paper, he looks like he can run, and visually when you see him, he looks like he can run. I wonder. It's too early to tell, and again, it makes it sound like I'm knocking Audible, but I'm not. I wonder if it's all said and done, the best horse that ran in this race ultimately will be Hofburg, because he has the pedigree, he has the connections, and he just looks like a serious talent. He earned a 94 Beyer and a 118 Timeform US rating. Mississippi, I think, is going to get lost a little bit in the shuffle here. Thought he ran very, very well in this race. The Beyer won't suggest that with an 82. The Timeform rating is a little bit kinder with a 112. He crawled home in almost 14 seconds in his final eighth of a mile. But the reason I think he ran really well is because you had those 2 breakaway horses that just went off and set unbelievable early splits, and that was Strike Power and Promises Fulfilled, the 1-2 runners coming out of that Fountain of Youth. But everybody and their brother knew that Promises Fulfilled was going to go. Dale Romans has said it, live by the sword, die by the sword. They were going to try to make the front. Strike Power down on the inside, they didn't want to relinquish it. Luis Saez, I don't think they did anything wrong. It's a situation where if you let Promises Fulfilled just walk on the front end, are you going to have a replay of what we saw in the Fountain of Youth? So I don't think anybody was wrong there. I just think that's how this entire thing played out. Bringing it back to Mississippi. Mississippi was the first one to make a move into that pace. Going down the backside, he quickly got up within about 2 or 3 lengths, and I thought he ran really well. The fact that he hung around to run third when really everyone else that was forward finished up the track. You look at Storm Runner, you look at Strike Power, you look at Promises Fulfilled. They were 1, 2, and 4 at the half mile and the 3/4 call, or 3/4 pole. You look at it here, Mississippi was 3, 3, 3, 3, 3 the entire way. I think he ran a big, big race. I don't know if I don't think he's going to get into the Kentucky Derby, but he's the kind of horse that I think is going to look A little bit less than he actually is on paper. I thought this was probably the best race of his career. That's including the run against Noble Indy, which he ran second in by a nose. Noble Indy obviously came back to win the Louisiana Derby. I thought this was a really good effort from Mississippi, something that you can build on going forward. Maybe not a Derby horse, but there are races for Mississippi down the road, I believe. And the last one we will really touch on in depth. We'll briefly touch on those bottom also rans. Catholic Boy, very disappointing in here at face value. He was in a beautiful position, and he just never really quickened, never finished. We found out after the race that he bled pretty seriously, and he's going to be laid up for some time. And they have also said the connections, when he comes back, any surfaces in play, dirt or turf. The 80 buyer, the 109 time form U.S. rating, certainly not what some people were expecting. He went off as the second choice. But again, he has an excuse now that he bled pretty severely in this race. He's going to be gone for some time. We'll find out wherever he comes back and whatever surface he comes back on. Hopefully he is as good as he was. There is a part of me, if you want to call it cold-hearted, knowing that he had a physical issue here in this race. I'm starting to wonder, has he really taken a step forward? And this isn't. It sounds bad because this is not the race to make that determination on. Because again, there was a physical problem. But you couple that a little bit with what happened in the Sam F. Davis, where he just kind of flat down the lane. And if you just look at it from a speed figure standpoint, he hasn't run any faster than he did as a 2-year-old when he won that Remsen. Again, this race is probably not the right one to be making a call one way or the other what you think about this horse on. But it is just something to file away. When he does come back, he'll be coming back off of a physical problem, and he'll be coming back with a horse that really hasn't gotten any faster yet anyway. And again, I know he's only run 1.5, if you want to call it a half run, but Catholic Boy, hopefully he'll come back soon enough and be ready to go. Strike Power, I think he's probably going to be better off going shorter. Storm Runner, never really understood all the hype with him. He didn't run well here. Promises Fulfilled. It sounds like they're going to go to the Kentucky Derby. They've got the points. Why not? I believe he is on a van to head up to Churchill Downs sometime this afternoon. This is being recorded on Monday. Dale Roman says, look, we're going to go on with it. And you know what his running style is going to be. He'll be forward. So you know there's at least one horse that's going to be out there setting the pace in the Kentucky Derby. If he gets there, knock on wood, hopefully everything sounds good. Promises Fulfilled. Sounds like they are going to go on with it. But Audible is the big winner in the Grade 1 Florida Derby. He gets 100 qualifying points. He is in. He is going to be one of the favorites the first Saturday in May for Todd Pletchard. 99 buyer, 122 time form U.S. rating. The runner-up, Hofburg, a 94 buyer, a 118 time form U.S. rating. And if it's the right move for the horse, they'll go on to the Kentucky Derby according to Bill Mott. If not, maybe they pull back a little bit. Wouldn't shock me at all if you saw a horse like this show up in the Belmont Stakes.